all of our life, whether we're running into a dead end, whether we are running into a detour out in the middle of nowhere, you don't know where you're going, and you end up in a detour, God's right there with you through all of that. While you're making your plans, He's over here making His plans for you. In all, in everything, He is silently busy, unceasingly encouraging us and helping us take shape. Probably the best way to think about this one would be, do you feel in your life like nothing is happening? You know, I'm just going through life. Nothing ever really happens. I'm not important. I'm just me. First of all, you're wrong. But second of all, God is silently working through you, to you, helping you, encouraging you, making you grow. Other side of the coin. Have you ever felt like tragedy always seems to come your way? You know, bad things are happening, and I'm sad, and like Johnny's friend Margaret. 18 years she's been cancer-free. No more. And she is again facing all of those horrible things that she faced 18 years ago. But you know, she was at the wedding, she was happy, she was joyous, she was celebrating with everybody else. Only one way that you can do that is that while Margaret was making her plans and she was retired and enjoying herself and enjoying life, God says, here's another challenge for you to be an example for me. And I have every thought that she will. Maybe we can best describe our lives like the cycle of a lobster. You know, when a lobster is born, they're not very big, or hatch probably is the better term. That when that lobster begins life, he will have to change that shell 14 times before he reaches maturity. So about every so often, they begin to shed that armor that protects them from all of the enemies. It takes 10 days for that cycle to be complete, for the first shell to fall off and the second shell to take its place. For 10 days, they are vulnerable to every enemy of the lobster. And you think about that in that process, they grow. When a lobster is in that exposed, undressed, out of armor state, he grows 7%. He cannot grow any more in his shell. So it's important for us to understand that at times we grow so much that the shell that we have made for ourselves can no longer contain the glory of God that He's working through us, and we have to shed that shell. And in that, and I'm not talking about death at this point, but in that process, when that shell is being shedded, our shell, we end up feeling vulnerable, exposed. We feel like everything is coming to an end, and we don't realize that during that shedding and rearming of who we are, that we are growing. And I would like to think that we would grow more than 7%. But if we grow at all, that's to the glory of God. And so here's the lobster going along. I was going to say happy as a clam. And one day he goes, oh, where'd that go? I lost this one. And next thing you know, his whole shell is gone. Ever felt that way? One day you think, man, I got it all put together. Where'd my coat go? And the next thing you know, you are in a state of exposure. And you know, one of the things that we need to learn while we're in that exposed state, number one, it's for us to grow. Ever how much you grow depends on what God has planned and what you're willing to do with that plan. But like Paul had a plan, but that one was not the one God had. So in order for him to follow God's plan, he had to be struck blind, led into the city, strong, educated man, and he is left 3 days in this dwelling, in the dark. And as God tells Ananias, behold, he prays. That's all he could do. He was in that dark house, dark because he couldn't see. He was blind. But when he was re-armored with God's will, he grew to a percentage that is unbelievable. Because he went to Damascus, he learned what he needed to do from God. And he made a mark. He wrote 14 books. He encouraged and planted churches. He strengthened men and women to be servants of God. And no longer was he a destroyer of the church, but he was a strength of the church. And so I guess maybe we need to look at it this way. Do you feel stifled? Do you feel that you are unfulfilled? You know, you never feel unfulfilled until you break into change. And it is the change that becomes the challenge. So if you feel unfulfilled, if you feel stifled, wait for God. Wait on God. Wait with God. And you will find exactly what he has planned for you. You know, your life is not fixed, but it's also not finished. We never reach a point where it is finished, complete. And what we have to do as Christians is to let God's plan work in us and help us grow as ministers, servants, helpers. And as a result of that, we've just got to learn to let it happen. We try to force change. Not going to happen. God will make it happen if we wait for him, on him, and with him. In Philippians 2:13 through 14, he says, for it is God who is at work in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. And he says, do all things without grumbling or disputing. Keep your eyes fixed on him, and you will not be sorry. Let his plan work in you, as this weekend it worked in John Ace and I and my daughter. We were the ones rewarded because we let it happen. What you have to do is also let it happen. We have to abandon your plan so that you can take God's plan. And if you're anyway subject to the gospel or to the plan of God, We encourage you to come as we stand and sing a song of encouragement.
I'd like to stay here longer and watch the fleeting changes of life's uneven ways. But if my Savior calls me to that sweet home on high, I'll live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing the story there on high. There with my dear Redeemer, there no mortal to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. The end I know is nearing. By faith I look away to yonder home supernal, the land of endless day. I'll cling to Him forever and look beyond the sky and live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing the story there on high. There with my dear Redeemer, there no more to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. Please turn to 356. 356. This will be the song before the Lord's Supper. I believe in the one they call Jesus. I believe He still stormed Galilee. I believe that He walked on the water. And I believe that He's the answer for me. I believe in the words of the Bible, how He made the poor blind man to see. I believe that the deaf ears were open, and I believe He's made a difference in me. I believe that He spoke to dead Lazarus, and He said, unbind and set free. I believe that He reigns up in heaven, and I believe that He is coming again. Yes, I believe in the one they call Jesus. I believe He died on Mount Calvary, and I believe that the tomb was found empty, and I believe that He's the answer for me.
Let us center our thoughts on Christ as He hung there on the cross to forgive us for our sins. Dear Lord, we come to your prayer at this time to partake of this loaf, which represents your Son's body that was sacrificed on that cross to give us for our many sins, Father. Let us take this